Why don't we talk about the artist and sport formerly known as our national pastime? Hey, you know what's rich? You know what's incredibly rich? Juan Soto. Do you know what's even richer than the $765 million man? That $765 million man pouting and dogging it and already looking miserable 7 weeks into his 15-year deal with the Mets. The only thing richer than Juan Soto right now are these headlines dominating New York City, claiming that the Mets hierarchy is, quote, concerned with Soto's, quote, lack of enthusiasm. I'm not saying they have buyer's remorse. I'm saying they have concern. 7 weeks in to a 15-year relationship. Yes, there are outs along the way, but so far so bad. Now, I'm not saying that I disagree with those headlines. I'm just saying I have never seen a dude with $765 million coming his way look this miserable. Then again, I don't know that I've ever known anybody with $750 million guaranteed coming their way. Man, woman, child, dog, otherwise. Man, I just don't get what this dude is pouting about. I don't get what this dude's moping around about. Considering how obvious it was that this guy was going to get heat from Yankee fan. How did he not know? Soto said it himself. It was like gonna be 50,000 v1 in that Subway Series. Of course he was going to hear it all weekend long. Of course they were going to turn their backs on him. Of course they were going to light him up. What did he think? And of course that contract that he signed was also going to come with enormous expectations from his own Met fan. And for the rest of the world, for that matter. See, that's what happens when you sign a $765 million contract. People expect productivity and a pretty good attitude. You're crazy. I know. Now, I know that not everybody is built for New York City. Except this is a dude who left one New York town or team for the other one having a ton of success under a lot of pressure with the Yankees. So how could he be surprised that there was blowback and clapback and pressure after crossing town and signing a $765 million deal? What I'm asking is, how did this guy not know? What was he thinking? What did he expect? I don't understand it, but what is very clear is that this dude does not look right. And it's not just that his numbers are down. They are. It's not just that his bat speed is down. It is. It's also that he just looks miserable. He looks like that being a Met is just straight torture, which is got to be pretty frustrating for Met fan and especially Met organization, considering the commitment that Met organization has made to this dude. It's like he's never gotten this fan hatred, and he's never had the media this aggressive, and he's bringing it on the field, which is making everything so much worse, and he doesn't seem to know how to fix it or even understand it. Like, it's some of the first adversity the guy's ever felt, and he's not handling it at all. All that said, there was always going to be nothing that he could ever do to actually live up to that contract. That's the thing about signing a contract that nobody could possibly live up to. You have to play on a contract that nobody could possibly live up to. And then you have to deal with all those unreasonable expectations. But you also have to know all of that is part of the deal, and you have to know that you have to handle it. What did you think? Like, we all knew that was an overpay. I said it at the time. The Mets just kept throwing money at this dude until he gave in and until the Yankees pulled out. He gave in at 15 years, $765. Not a penny deferred. And if that's how Steve Cohen wants to spend his money, that's his business. But it was always an over-the-top number that was always going to lead to impossible expectations. You know, it's one thing to pay that guy that amount of money and expect productivity. but he's got to handle the expectations. There's that part of it too. That said, they are impossible expectations. But you know what's not? Do you know what's not? You know what's not too big of an ask? Running to first base, dropping the bat, and hustling out of the box. Hey, look, I'm not even going to go old head, full school or old school here and say, if you're between the lines, you better be sprinting. I came up with Pete Rose, and he ran to first base when he walked. I'm not even saying that. Not even saying that. That's not what I'm saying. That's not really realistic, and that's not the problem here. I'm not asking for Pete Rose on a dead sprint to first after a walk. Never mind that Pete Rose right now today could probably get down that line faster than Juan Soto. And Pete's in the ground. I'm not asking him to run Ray Fosse into a dugout in an exhibition game. I'm not asking him to slam the bat on the ground and run to first base. I'm not asking him to go Charlie Hustle or Juan Hustle or Charlie Soto. The problem is that Juan Soto, a.k.a. Juan Slow-Mo, as the back pages are glossing him, Juan Slow-Mo dogged it out of the box on what could have been a close play in the 8th inning of a tie game against the Yankees on national TV. Man, that's going to get some people's attention for pretty obvious reasons. Here was the play if you happened to miss it the first time.
Well, everything about it in slow motion. LeMahieu from his knees there to make the play.
I mean, dude, exactly. Everything about it. Look at this. In slow motion. That's a key play right there. Got nowhere to be, dude. I'll tell you somewhere you got to be. The bag. Now, no, that's not a crime against baseball humanity. It's not. It's just a lack of hustle in a huge spot from a guy on a $750 million contract at the end of a series where he went 1 for 10. Bad look. I'm not going to sit here and try and defend this because there's nothing to defend. I think it's totally fair and reasonable that people paying that dude $765 million expect a little more energy than that. And obviously, that pissed off a lot of fans too. It actually united both fan bases when nothing can, right? It united both fan bases in their frustration with this dude. Yankee fan already hates the guy. And now Met fan is already starting to get tired of his act. And again, we're only 7 weeks in to a 15-year contract. So, what is Juan Slow-Mo? Well, what an incredible gloss, too. What does Juan Slow-Mo do for an encore yesterday? You know he's under heat and fire and a microscope. So if your guess is run everything the hell out and make sure that he does not go viral again with another Juan Slow-Mo moment and make some classy comments to the media. If you're expecting that, I have one word to say to that in response. And that word is... Of course that's not what happened. The exact opposite happened. And I know. He thought he got all of it. It's tough to judge with the monster. There are excuses you can make. But the bottom line is, Juan Slow-Mo really could not afford to go viral for another Juan Slow-Mo moment last night, which is exactly what he did.
What did I say the point was?
Soto flies one deep to left, back toward the wall, and it's off the fence. And Soto will have to stop at first base.
Again, we're talking about running to first base here. It's not the biggest deal in the grand scheme of things. And it's one of those AI where we're talking about practice situations. It's not that either. We're talking about running to first base. We're talking about his ABs. We're not talking about the contact he is or isn't making, or the pitches he is or isn't attacking, or his bat speed or his launch angle. We're talking about running to first base.
What are we talking about?
Running to first base?
I mean,
That's what
how
makes this whole
silly
thing
is that?
frustrating and bizarre, especially when the easy way to get everybody to stop talking about dogging it to first base is by simply running to first base. This is not hard. And by the way, it's not a big ask, but it's the absolute worst thing that the $765 million man glossed Juan Slomo could do. And that's stand in the box, admire his work, not drop the bat until the ball bounds off the monster. Look, we've all seen a million long singles off the monster at Fenway. That'll happen. Everybody gets it.
Happens to us
as
all.
long as you bust ass out of the box upon contact. Not Juan Slomo. He was going to take it all in. And no, I don't give a damn that he stole second after getting there. Man, run it out.
Run his ass down.
It's not too much to ask of a guy making, like, I don't know, 10 gur every second he's awake. And for the rap that he's not hustling, not surprisingly, he doesn't see it that way. My man thinks he's going hard. Listen.
Last couple of nights you've had a couple of plays where you were slow getting out of the box. Is that something you have to be more aware of?
No. I think been hustling very hard. If you see it today, you could tell.
You
No.
think you've been hustling pretty hard. Quote, I think I've been hustling pretty hard. If you see it today, you could tell. You think you've been hustling pretty hard? You know what I think, dude? I think you're not hustling pretty hard. In fact, I think you're not hustling at all. And neither does anybody else. Or you wouldn't be getting the question. And more importantly, your manager would not be publicly saying he's going to address it with you. So no, you're not hustling pretty hard. You're not hustling at all. You're in the box wearing concrete shoes, watching your moonshots that are going like halfway up the wall. And then you start running. Again, Slomo might think he's been hustling pretty hard, but the entire city disagrees. And way more importantly, so does your manager. Carlos Mendoza had a very different take on the Slomo situation after the game than Slomo himself.
Soto didn't bust it out of the box on that ball off the wall. Last night he had a play where he was a little slow getting out of it. Do you have to talk to him about any of that?
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk to him about it. Tonight, obviously, someone gets a hold of one and knows when he gets it, he's won, you know. And he thought he had it, you know, with the win and all that. And in this ballpark, or you know, anywhere, but in particular in this one, with that wall right there, you got to get out of the box. So, yeah, we'll discuss that.
That settles that. Hey, Slomo, if your manager says you're not hustling, that means you're not hustling.
No.
Case closed. However, I would love to hear the conversation and Mendoza, quote, discussing this with his boss, player. So you got Mendoza, who's going to make $1.5 million this year, telling his boss, star player, who's set to make $51 million this year, how it is. Yeah, have fun with that, Skip. This is why you usually want to be careful who you promise $750 million to. Yes, I know the guy can swing it. Nobody doubts that. But if you throw that money to the wrong guy, you could have a $765 million man in the midst of a hustling controversy. Apparently, it's too much to ask this guy to run to first base for $750 million. Clearly, $750 million does not get you what it used to. Hey, listen. It's Steve Cohen's money. You don't spend that kind of money on a guy over 15 years and put all your hopes in the first 2 months. I get that. None of this controversy really changes anything for the Mets. It's all just very Mets. But they are stuck with him for now, and he is stuck with them for now. And the good news is that means he will come around and start hitting and start looking more like himself because the guy is still a hell of a player. But I will say this. for slow-mo. Some of the controversy is unfair and exaggerated. Like, for example, no, he does not keeps a private jet.
You know, I keeps a private jet.
Which was suggested by several people in the last 48 hours. Like, he keeps a private jet so he doesn't have to travel with his team.
Private.
That he flies separate from the team to away games on a private jet.
Private.
Man, I want that to be true so badly, but apparently it's not. But man, I want it to be true. And this controversy about wanting to be mic'd up for Sunday Night Baseball. To me, that's not a controversy at all. Every player should turn that down. There's nothing more awkward than watching a Major League Baseball player get interviewed while playing the field in a game. You know, every once in a while you find somebody who's got a really good rap and can pull it off. But most of all, whose painful idea was that in the first place? Like, I would rather wave back at somebody who isn't actually waving at me than watch a player get interviewed during the game. I'd rather hit reply all on an email meant for one person than watch a big leaguer have to answer cringy questions while trying to do their job. So I've got no problem with what Soto is saying. You know what? I really don't want to deal with questions about Aaron Judge and leaving the Yankees mid-game while standing in the outfield of Yankee Stadium where they are killing me and it's going to get picked up on the mic. I don't have a problem with any of that. I just don't understand how this dude got so miserable so fast on the biggest contract in MLB history. I guess it really just does suck that badly to be a Met. Well, he's making it seem that way. I guess this is your proof that there is no dollar amount that can possibly make being a Met enjoyable if he's not having fun at $765 million. I can tell you how you'd have more fun, though, dude. When you hear the crack of the bat and you know that you've made contact, put the bat in the dirt and run to first base. I guarantee it, your life will get immeasurably better, demonstrably better. I promise it. Here's one quick hack. And I really fully believe that there are no hacks. There are no shortcuts. I've got a hack for you, slow-mo. The next time you make contact, run. Your life will get better. Your life will get better. Here's a non-hack. Next time you make contact, just sit there and watch it. Just admire your work. Like, that is the work of a true craftsman. Would you look at me? Oh, it only went halfway up the wall. And before you say, hey, Rome, Pete Alonso did the same thing earlier in the game and got thrown out trying to stretch it into a double. And he tried to stretch it into a double. He ran. He hustled. Nobody cares if you hit it off the wall and you end up getting a long single. Man, he's damn lucky they didn't throw him out of first base. That'd have been the best.